Hello! So this is kind of a follow-up video from the Pagan Art Journal video. If you don't know, something I'm really into is upcycling and like found object art and upcycling and environmental friendliness, as well as, you know, my veganism and art and paganism and other things as well. So I'm really excited because I have here a vegetable stamp. This is what I cut off from celery, and it makes a rose. I thought this was the coolest thing when I discovered it. So the spur of the moment, just a few minutes ago when I was cutting this celery, I discovered something else too, because with the stalks I cut a little bit off from each end also, and I was cutting the ends off and I thought, these look like moons, little tiny moons. Which direction? So it's a really small one. So I'm going to have to find somewhere in here to stamp some moons and see how that turns out. Just to kind of bring closure to the last video, my sun page, I think I'm finished. I didn't add any keywords, and it looks a lot similar, but I got some more orange and yellow in there, and I'm happy with it. So that's what that's looking like. Oh, and with my dream page that I showed you in the last video, I had another idea for that, and what I've decided to do is look and see where the moon is in its cycle, what phase of the moon is going on when I have a dream and document it, and I'm going to draw a little symbol to document that. So I was excited about that. Alright, so this is my newest page in the works, and these red roses, I think they look like roses. That's what they're supposed to be. This is the work of the celery stamp. So how cool is that? So this is solstice inspired. I don't know if you can see it or not, but there's a really faint white moon up by one of the purple blocks. And what I want to do, and I'm going to do on video today, is I'm going to make some yellow roses and stamp them between in the spaces where the red roses aren't, in between the spaces where I can. And then I'll do a little journaling on the purple paper that I put on there. So I actually got this purple paper, it's just purple lined paper, loose leaf paper that I actually ripped out. I actually got this on here without any glue. I used paint. So that's something you can do. There's a different effect, and it's peeling off a little bit right here. Not too bad though. Like I'm fine with it. So the way to do that is to put some wet paint just around the edges underneath where you're gonna put your paper, and then to paint on top of it a little bit around and try to keep it in the same direction. It's pretty easy to figure out once you give it a shot. So here we go. So there's while I'm getting my paints ready, there's a really brief topic I wanted to bring up and talk about a little bit, because I'm in a few vegan groups on Facebook, and it's come up, and people have talked about it, and I've talked about it with people, And that's feathers and shells, and whether it's okay to use them when you find them or not. If you're vegan and you've made the connection and you know that they're real in the stores, you're not going to buy them, because the feathers that they sell in craft stores and things like that, well, feathers anywhere, the ones that are real, they're the product of cruelty. They don't just fall off birds and people collect them and they go into a store. No. Just like down pillows, it's an industry, and animals are confined and raised and harmed for it. I think a lot of times with feathers, they're not specifically farmed or whatever you want to call it for the feathers. It's a byproduct of it, the industry. But I don't know that. I do know that some of them are real, and I know that, you know, they're not found. They're from enslaved animals. And I've seen the process of getting feathers off, and it's gross and painful if the birds are still alive, which happens more than most people would like to face. So, that's not cool. Some craft feathers are synthetic, and the only sure way that I know to tell the difference is to burn them. If you take, you know, just like a little fiber off from a feather, a little bit of it, and you have a lighter in your pocket right in the store, I've done it before, and you set it on fire and then put it out real quick. If it's real, it'll smell this kind of similar to the way your hair smells when it's burning. If you've ever burnt your hair by mistake, it stinks. It stinks bad. If it's synthetic, it won't stink. And so that's a way to tell if they are or not, because the people in the stores may not know. In fact, they probably wouldn't know. And shells, it's kind of the same thing. I mean, in the craft stores and things, these shells aren't coming from people collecting them on the beach. For the most part, they're coming from industry. And also, animals, sea animals, sometimes crawl into shells that get washed up on the beach and live in them. I recently found out. So even if shells are collected in some of these places, they're apt to just kill the animals that are living inside of them. And so the question that's come up in vegan groups is, what about, you know, if you collect them on your own, if you're walking on the beach and you see shells and, you know, you look and there's no animals in there, and what about when you see bird feathers on the ground? And some vegans have said, you know, like, well, there's nothing wrong with that, you're not hurting any animals, and sure, but somebody had pointed out that if you leave them alone, both feathers and shells, I mean, the shells, like I said, some little creatures will use them as their home. And with the feathers, if you leave them alone, other birds will scoop them up and use them in nest building. And I thought that was really cool, so I decided I don't want to pick up feathers anymore to use them in spells or anything like that, or put on my altar or anything, because I'd rather leave them for the animals. It seems like they need them more. And I feel good about that. I was, however, doing a spontaneous ritual at the beach not too long ago, and I saw a feather on the beach, and it clicked that I could use it for something. So I picked it up and I used it in my ritual. I waved around, and when I was done, I put it back. So there are ways to do things like that, to borrow and put back rather than just take. Because my feeling on it is just, unless I need it more than them, I'm not going to take it, and I'm not going to need it more than them. So that's that with the feathers and shells. I just wanted to briefly talk about that. I'm surprised this video is running so long already, actually. So this celery stamp is really big. The last one I had was much smaller. I think this is the biggest one I've ever seen, which was not my intention, and so it's made getting the paint on it evenly a little bit challenging, and also mixing it because I'm using a bright yellow and a white because I want light yellow roses. But okay, I think I got it now. There we go. That's what it looks, all covered in paint. That's what it looks like. And just to show you, I just put some on this little paper and swirled my stamp around. So I'm just gonna put them on there just like a stamp. Not exactly what I wanted, a little brighter. But right before I turned the camera on, I had the idea to mix in just a tiny bit, I have to put the microphone down, just a tiny bit of orange, give it a tint, and I didn't do that. So I may go back with a paintbrush and fix these up because I'm not too thrilled with how they came out. But I love vegetable stamps, and I love, you know, economical solutions and like upcycling, resource conservation, and things like that, being able to reuse things and avoid being wasteful. And as you probably know, there are other fruits and vegetables and things you can make stamps out of. Apples is a particularly popular one. And so I'm hoping to do a video in the autumn, you know, sometime around one of the harvest times, and do some more stamping. Here it is. It's looking a little wacky, a little sloppy. Whoa. And my art journal's closing. Okay, so that's gonna need a little fixing up, unfortunately. To be continued. Okay, I'm back. Fresh day. Catastrophe averted. That's something I love about art journaling. Like I said, I haven't been doing the pagan art journaling for very long, and maybe it's different. I don't know. But with a regular art journal, something I really love about it is that you can't mess up, really, because it's anything goes. If you mess up, you can turn it into something else. If you mess up and you try to turn it into something else and you just hate it, you just move on, and it's like a learning experience, and your mistakes documented in your journal. It's just your growth. So I didn't like the way the great big stamp affected my page. For one thing, it was a brighter color than I wanted. I wanted a nice pale yellow rose color, and it was bright. But I fixed it up, and I like it alright now. And I'll show you what I have here. But first, I wanted to say something. I found this because I had bought it. You know what these are? Okay, so I really hate these, but I buy them sometimes when I buy onions or potatoes. I usually get bagged potatoes, but like a plastic bag or a paper bag. but this one came from sweet potatoes, and that's why it's orange. I hate these things because I think about their afterlife after they leave me. What happens to them? They go somewhere where animals are getting caught in these bags and struggling, fish or land animals, and I really, really hate them. Just like the 6-packs with the plastic rings. I hate them. I always cut them. I don't get them very often, but I always cut them so animals' heads don't get stuck in there. So when I get the bags, I always cut them so they're not bags anymore. But I still really hate it. Like, look at all these little holes. I think of all the suffering that could occur because of this trash. So, I'm going to use this in my journal. I'm not exactly sure how yet, but I've done it before. And, it's really easy. What I do is I just lay it over and tuck it onto the back of a page. And tape it to the other side that I'm not using. So on the page that it's taped to, if you don't want that seen, you don't want to do anything with that, you can always glue the next page to that so it's hidden and your pages are thicker for paint and whatnot. So I'm not exactly sure what I'm going to do with it, but it's orange, which is summery and harvesty, so I'm excited. I'm sure I'll find something cool to do with it. I'll just put it over a page that I want it to be on. So that's that. And also, before I show you the page, I just wanted to say, like, kind of on that note, with trash and animals getting hurt in it, cans, please crush your cans some, because like a soup can or anything like that, they're like this big. Cats and raccoons and any animal who goes scurrying through a dumpster or trash pile can get their head caught in that, and it happens. They can get their heads trapped in there, their noses trapped in there, and suffocate. It happens. So I thought it would be hard when I heard about this, and I thought, oh my goodness, I haven't been doing this. This is horrible. I must crush my cans. I thought this is going to be hard, but it's really not very hard. If you just take a can and crush it, if you can't do it with one hand, use two. Just crush it down a little bit so their noses and mouths can't fit in them. I think that really helps. Alright, so on to the art journal page. This is what I have created now. So what I did was I mixed some more paint, some orange. There's a little bit of orange in there with white to give it a tint, and some more yellow and white to kind of lighten the color of the roses and have enough to paint them solid. So that's what I did. I just painted the shapes all around where the stamp was, and then the lines on there you see are from me drawing them on with, where'd it go? I don't know where to go. Well, that's ridiculous. I just had it here. It's just this large colored pencil that's multicolored. If you look at the tip of it, there's 4 different colors. So when you write with it or you draw with it, it makes a stream of different colors. So you can see there's some blue in there and some orange, some yellow. So I really like the way that came out. I'm sorry, I brought it over here and it's lost. I wanted to show you. They're not too hard to find, though, if you just ask somebody in a store where you would buy art supplies or look online a little bit. They're not too hard to find. So I'm going to wrap this video up, but before I do, the space is really small that I left myself for journaling, right? There's not much space there, so I'm thinking I'm probably going to just do like a little poem or quotes or something. I'm really not sure yet. But there's another page, there's some more information. I hope you're enjoying my videos. Please let me know and give me some feedback if you have time to do that. It's comments or thumbs up or thumb down if you don't like it. Yeah, I don't really care. Give some negative feedback, that's fine. Please share it if you think somebody else would enjoy it. And happy expressing yourself.